If Paradox wants to make a lazy DLC, I'm making a lazy review. This is going to be an unscripted review of Coronations because, quite frankly, I think it's so bad. Let's just start off right away, okay? So bad that it doesn't really need like a script to explain what's wrong. Clearly, like nothing went into testing this DLC or like playing it and seeing how it like flows with the player, with the AI. There's just like, it's not just like it's badly designed or anything. It's clear that nobody like played this. I know this every once in a while when a DLC comes out from Paradox, people will say things like, clearly nobody played this. And like, that's a bit of a hyperbole because, you know, there may be some oversights, there may be some things that were kind of left behind, but like, you know, somebody played it, okay? It wasn't that bad. This is a DLC which I think genuinely like maybe nobody played because all the oaths fail, even if you succeed them. Now, that's obviously a bug, and I'm going to get to kind of like what I think of the DLC if we were to live in a world where the bugs are fixed. But I want to talk about just how like completely unacceptable it is to be like releasing this DLC where so much as half an hour of playtesting would have revealed a critical bug of like making every oath fail. I'll be honest with you guys. I've actually only barely played any of the Coronation DLC because I've just been really like busy lately. So when it came out, I couldn't play it right away. And then I started playing it like a little bit just for footage and stuff. But, you know, I chatted with OPB, I chatted with other people, I talked with my community, I looked at other videos and stuff. I know what's going on here. I don't think any amount of me actually playing this DLC is going to fix how I feel about it. Nonetheless, if you feel that disqualifies you from having an opinion, that's fair enough. I've played maybe like 3 or 4 hours of this DLC, but that's all you need to play to see everything, by the way. Like it's very small. And I will say, yeah, it's $5 DLC, okay. The problem is that this DLC actively detracts from the game. So people are saying this DLC should be free. You know, the classic like Steam review, every Paradox DLC gets it, Steam review, this DLC should have been free, why are you nickel and diming us? No, this DLC should actually pay you to take it because it makes the game worse. OPB recommended that you disable it, and I wholeheartedly agree. I haven't actually watched his review, but he and I were just like talking in a server. He told me he thinks that you should disable it. I assume he said that in his review as well. Yeah, you should disable this DLC. It's actively going to make your game worse because every single AI is going to be failing their oath, just period. You might succeed your oath, and then you're going to fail it anyway once the timer runs out. So, because that bug is in here. Now, if that bug gets fixed, then maybe it's a little bit different. But a lot of the oaths are, like, impossible to do. Like that hunting one, that's the famous one. I don't even know what all the oaths are, per se, but, like, you know, a lot of them are pretty uninteresting from what I can tell. Some of the buildings they provide that I've seen screenshots of, they seem to be kind of, like, insane, but also insanely expensive. It's kind of insane actually how much money you have to put in order to get some of these oaths done, and that I imagine is going to be a deal breaker for any 867 players. By 1178, 5,000 gold is a lot of money, but it's not like unobtainable. In 867, 5,000 gold is like unlimited money. You can't get it. Anyway, I do have some notes to help guide this little rant, so again, I want to apologize for the laziness, but you know, tell Paradox that if they want to make a lazy DLC, it's what they get. So, oaths are impossible and bugged. It shouldn't be free, you should have to pay me. I already said those things. AI can't handle anything. A big one that I really didn't like as something of like a role player slash almost, it's a problem for role-playing and metagaming, is that you can't uninvite people to the Coronation. So, you'll have these people who will come, who are like obviously your rivals and who obviously hate you, and they will contribute to your detractors. Now, the way Coronations work is that your supporters and your detractors kind of like compete to give you a good or a bad Coronation. But and you tell me if this is like historically unprecedented. Can I not just like uninvite the dude that hates me clearly? Like be like, hey, that guy can't come to my Coronation. Maybe it's like a faux pas in medieval society, which I'm willing to accept. Like, okay, it's not a huge deal, but let me engage in the faux pas and take some kind of prestige debuff. You know what I mean? Like, let me spend, I don't know, let's say even like 1,000 prestige. It could be expensive if you want it to be, to say that guy can't be here. Guards, get him. And then like take tyranny or something, you know, whatever, right? Not to mention, if someone's being disrespectful at the Coronation, that sounds like it would be reasonable to like arrest them for it. I don't know. I'm just rambling here about how it feels unfair that all these detractors will arrive at your Coronation. They're upset at you because you're not coronated, and then they make your Coronation worse, and you can't tell them to stop. Kind of weird. I wrote in my notes as well, this is clearly untested. I already mentioned that, but yes, it's like so obviously untested. the weird thing, okay, and this is going to require me to pull up some code, so at editor Tarkus, pull up the code here. I think they knew that this was kind of broken, because if you look at the nickname, the Oathbreaker, okay, it's the nickname that you get for failing an oath, obviously. You see that it specifically mentions here that if the AI fails an oath, they only have a 5% chance of getting the Oathbreaker name. Now, this is actually a good thing. They chose to not make it so that every single king and emperor in the entire game is going to be an Oathbreaker. Okay, fair enough. But doesn't that imply that they kind of knew the AI was going to fail all of them? There's two important notes about the AI with regards to oaths that I want to mention here. One, AIs pick oaths completely randomly. If we look at the weighting, again, pull up the code. If you look at the weighting for every oath, the way that the AI picks them is just equally random chance between all of them. So no personality involved, no culture involved, no like circumstances based on how much money involved. And look, I make mods for CK3 sometimes. I also like never code AI stuff because I make mods with like a player focus. Like, you know, I understand. And if you wanted to call Coronations like a player-oriented DLC, like sure. But it's obviously not that, because this is a mandatory activity for all kings and emperors. So clearly everyone's going to be doing it. It's not a player-oriented DLC. For example, like the AI doesn't take hostages that often or go to university that often in the base game with wardens and wardens. So it's like, sure, you can orient those activities and that option towards players. But this is a mandated activity for all AI and all players. So I think they put a little more effort into it. It seems like they saw it coming, which is worse, I would argue. I would say it's worse, because this should have been delayed, honestly, like 2 or 3 weeks. It's a small enough DLC. I don't expect that you'd need like a month of extra time to fix this stuff up, but 2 or 3 weeks to just go in and add in AI weightings. I'm not going to act like I know how to do it better than Paradox does, because I don't know how to do the AI very well. I'm not that good at that kind of stuff, but Paradox should know how to do it. They do it with other stuff. Like, make the AI, if they have an oath that corresponds to building buildings, make them more likely to make buildings. Is that not obvious? I don't know. There's one saving grace. This is all the negative stuff. I'll talk about positives in a second. It'll be a very short section. The saving grace for this DLC is that, unlike other event packs, it doesn't come with things that you might want. So for example, let's say in Wards and Wardens, you really hated like the event spam or something, right? Like whatever. The thing is that Wards and Wardens gives you university visits, so you don't want to turn it off because universities are actually useful. Now in Wards and Wardens' case, nothing in that DLC was bad enough to make you want to turn the DLC off. This DLC is unironically the first time I'm going to say that you should turn off the DLC. Now OPB said it first, but I completely agreed with him when he said it. He told me in the Discord first. So like, to be clear, this is also my own opinion, let alone his. Turn off the DLC. Not worth having. If you have already bought it, turn it off. If you haven't bought it, do not buy it. It makes the game worse. That's why I say before, you should pay me to play it, because it actively harms the game. Let's say that you were to start patching out some of the bugs, right? Because let's be honest here, the oaths breaking every time you complete them is still probably going to be patched. They're probably going to balance the hunting ones so it's actually physically possible to do. I'm sure that things will be changed, right? Give it like, you know, maybe even a couple days, let alone like a week or so, and the DLC will be patched so that it's more reasonable. Let's say that happens. What does the DLC have that makes it perhaps worthwhile? This is where, unfortunately, what I was hoping would be a more positive section actually continues to be negative. That is to say that this DLC presents you with a bunch of events, and the events aren't very interesting, and it just like doesn't do anything particularly cool. Like, I'm trying to think of any events I can remember from the couple hours that I played where I'm like, yeah, that was a cool event, and like not a single one. There's a lot of trap options, like, you know what I'm talking about if you play CK3, where it's like, do you want you know, money or like a +1 learning artifact or something, and you always take the money, right? Like, there's a lot of those events in Coronations where there's just an obvious correct choice. And you know, as a roleplay guy, sometimes I take the incorrect choice for the betterment of the story. The problem is that none of the events have interesting enough stories to make me want to consider taking the worse event. So it quickly became, for me anyway, just clicking through to get all the stuff that I want and then moving on. The only real positive thing I'll say, this is not going to be cloaked in negativity, is that the UI is nice for modding, and also the new like intention symbols, like the new what are they called? Assets. Sorry, the new art assets from the DLC are going to be useful for modders, because, you know, a lot of modders, like, you know, we don't really want to make like assets, so it's nice to take them from the game. So I'm happy to see that. You know, that's always a positive, is more stuff like that. beyond that, I mean, what more do I have to say? Like, this pretty much sums up how I feel about it. I don't want to make this rant overly long. I'm sure I could keep going, but yeah, that's pretty much like what I feel about the DLC. It's the worst reviewed DLC for CK3 ever in current history, which completely checks out if you ask me. And I think it's a real slap in the face. I will say, you know, $5. Like, okay, clearly this is not a big DLC, but what I would say to that, to counter what I just said, is why did you not delay this? How could this come out like this? Like, how could you release it like in this state? I'd understand if, let's say, this was a really big DLC whose release was very important. Like, imagine if this was All Under Heaven. Hopefully All Under Heaven is not like this, by the way, but imagine that it was. People would be pissed if you delay it like 2 weeks, right? I want you to look at the community of CK3 and be like, yeah, we delayed Coronations by 2 weeks. People would have been like disgruntled and they would have been like, oh man, that kind of sucks, but nobody was super hyped for this DLC, and I wasn't either. I will say I kind of was, because I like Coronations in terms of their historical importance and in terms of like adding another activity to the game with some cool options. Like, you know, I was looking forward to that. But yeah, my expectations are pretty low, but somehow you failed to meet my like non-existent expectations, because it's not even functioning. It's not even like a functioning DLC like at all. That being said, once they fix the bugs, which I'm sure they will, maybe this DLC will be worth turning on. Right now, you'll actively be ruining your games with it turned on, because all the AI are going to have no legitimacy, no prestige. They're going to lose all their fame to the oath-breaking events. And you as the player, you may succeed your oaths, and that's, you know, hunky-dory, but then you will get the failed event anyway. So at least wait until that gets patched out. It actually makes me thankful. I have a video coming out probably in like a day or two where I did a CK3 like roleplay video. It's coming out pretty soon. It's in Afghanistan, of all places. And I apologize in that video script for having recorded it before Coronations came out, because it means no Coronation stuff is in it. But actually, it means I didn't waste my time, because imagine if I had recorded a whole ass playthrough for a video and then it was with Coronations on and the whole game was like borked because of it. So in a way, now I no longer regret having recorded that video without Coronation stuff. So thank you, Paradox. You've lifted, in a way, one weight off my shoulders. Regardless, yeah, if you want my final score, this is like a 0 out of 10. Like, unironically, I remember when I gave Roads to Power like a 10 out of 10, and I was like, yeah, this is truly amazing. This is like a 0 out of 10. This is the other end of the spectrum. This is a non-functioning, negative contribution to the game. This is like, it makes the game worse that it exists. You should disable it if you own it. Don't buy it if you haven't already bought it. 0 out of 10. When they fix the bugs, maybe it's like a 3 out of 10. I don't know. I mean, depends on, when we say fix the bugs, how much we're talking about. Are they going to give the AI weighting so that they pick oaths that make sense for the characters? Maybe that will make it a little better. Are they going to give the AI weighting so that they actually like try to finish their oaths? Maybe. I don't know. If they do those things, let's call it a 4 out of 10. This DLC would have to be completely overhauled, like ripped out of what it currently is and redone to achieve anything above a 5 out of 10, okay? It really puts into perspective just how like harsh we can be with CK3 sometimes, because I gave Legends of the Dead like a 7 out of 10, and upon looking back, I later kind of adjusted that score to like a 6 in my head, because I was like, you know, Legends of the Dead kind of was worse than even I gave it credit for. But Legends of the Dead was like a positive contribution to the game. It just was kind of like mid compared to what was expected. This DLC is an actual good example of like the kind of DLC that's a trap to purchase. Like some games have that, right? Where like they're like, don't buy the DLC, it makes the game worse. That's this one. 0 out of 10. Absolutely. Terrible DLC. Disgusting. I don't know. I'm not too angry about it because it's $5. I wasn't too hyped for it. I am angry because it feels kind of insulting to even throw this at us. But like, you know, it's just a kind of throwaway whatever. I'm just going to move on with my life and continue playing CK3. Don't really care. So I guess Paradox will get away with it in that sense. But if you want to make them not get away with it, then I guess go be angry about it. But I still love the game, obviously. It takes more than one bad DLC to ruin the game for me. Otherwise, Legends of the Dead would ruin it for me. sorry, I love bringing up that DLC. That DLC ended up being probably not as bad as I was upset at it for. It probably is, like, okay, but yeah, kind of just rambling at this point. Either way, I hope that you enjoy, you know, whatever you're doing with CK3 at this point, and just turn off this DLC and have a good time. In terms of the free update that came with it, like, not a lot of changes. Stuff like the new crowns are cool. Like, you know, there's a couple little positives to be said about the free update, but it's not really anything too big. I would say that there's really not much meat on the bone there, but, you know, free updates are always nice, I guess, some bug fixes, you know, whatever. But, yeah, thank you for listening. Sorry for the laziness of the review, but, you know, it is what it is. You get what you deserve. Insert Joker clip. Don't actually do that. Make it copyrighted. Anyway, thank you for your time. Okay, so, I swear, I just finished recording the video. The second that I finished, maybe like, okay, like the minute, I should say, they released an update that changed, fixed some of the problems. Okay, so some of the problems have been fixed. Wonderful. Okay, glad to see that. Good. Like, I still hold most of the opinions that I feel. I'm gonna pump it up from a 0 out of 10 to a 1 out of 10, because now you don't fail every single oath, even if you succeed in them. And now the hunting oath, for example, has 40 years instead of 20 years. You only have to get 1 legendary hunt. There's a couple more stuff. I'll put it up on screen. Okay, editor, get it on there. But a relatively small changelog with some fixes. I'm glad that it's there, but like, what the hell? Okay, I'm still not happy. This is still not okay. Completely not okay. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to add that, yes, there's been 1.17.0.1 has come out. It fixed some issues. It did not fix the fact that this DLC came out the way it did, and it did not fix the fact that the DLC is still just events I don't care about and a bunch of design issues that really upset me. Anyway, the AI is still going to fail all of their oaths, by the way. There's no way. The AI doesn't have any more new weightings. At least from what they put in the bug fixes here, they haven't added anything where the AI will now prioritize completing the oaths. So AI is still going to fail all of them, but at least maybe you won't. Maybe now we can call it a player-facing DLC that intends to give the player a coronation experience and everyone else gets screwed by it. Regardless, thank you for your time again.